What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. I'm not really gonna waste any time with like a long introduction or anything like that. I just woke up. But I wanted to make another video talking about looks maxing and, you know, go a little bit more in depth. If you guys have seen my previous videos, you would know that I absolutely disagree with the idea of looks maxing to I disagree with the idea of looks maxing to become the most, how do I explain this? You know, it's interesting trying to explain ideas without writing it out first. Just coming up with the words out of nowhere. But this is like what I actually think. I'm not listening to people talk about looks maxing and their ideas about looks maxing and then repeating what someone else thinks about it. I'm telling you what I actually think about looks maxing. And I essentially just watched this video of Clav talking about how he does it. And after watching that video, I was like, man, this is like, it's crazy how, you know, in the manosphere, there's this huge conversation about how there's an attack on masculinity. And then you have this guy who comes in and introduces this idea of looks maxing, and out of nowhere, the manosphere is completely on board. But when I hear this young man talking about looks maxing, I can't help but think it's one of the most feminine things I've heard, in the way that he explains it, in the techniques that he uses, beating your jaw, taking testosterone at a way too young of an age. I'm not really against taking testosterone, because the older you get, the more your testosterone depletes, and sometimes it's for good reason. You become less, you have less risk-taking behaviors, and when you start to have a family, you get married, it's actually a good thing. But next to that, it's an extremely feminine thing. Women looks max. And the reason women looks max is because inherently they know that their value is tied to their physical appearance. But as a man, your value isn't tied to your physical appearance. Your status isn't tied to your physical appearance. However, you can build status. You can become valuable as a person to a certain extent based off your looks in certain situations, but people don't value good-looking men to the same extent that they value good-looking women. So looks maxing if you don't have any game, looks maxing if you don't have any value, looks maxing if you don't have any status, looks maxing if you're an awkward person. You go down the list, you know. Looks maxing based on those specific criterias realistically isn't going to do anything for you. Now, especially the older you get, the less people care about how attractive you are, and the more people care about your personality. I want to just say people, the more women. If specifically you're looks maxing to become more attractive so that you can attract more women in the dating game, the older you get, the more status, value, personality, character, morality matters. Because I just feel like, in my opinion, there's this idea that you shouldn't get married, that it's the worst thing that you can do as a man. And I see both sides of the equation. I see how you can get married and get screwed. I see how you can get married and have the best time of your life. And the reason I'm able to see both sides is because before I got married, like, why is there ants in my truck? The freak. Before I got married, I knew all the statistics. I knew all the, I essentially knew the risk I was taking. That I'm literally just flipping a coin. And I'm 2 years into marriage, and I still understand that, like, this idea that, oh, I'm going to get married and I'm never going to get divorced. Like, I think that's a terrible idea. I think that's a terrible way to go into marriage, in my opinion. I think that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your belief system is. The option is always there, and marriage is either gonna end in death or divorce at the end of the day. So when you get into it, when you know that divorce is always an option, how do I explain this? I'm trying to explain the way I view, like, I wouldn't want to get divorced even though I know that divorce is always an option, because at the end of the day, all marriages end. And I think the reason a lot of people get divorced is because they're scared of it. They're scared of separation, and you'll do whatever it takes to avoid the separation. And you fear the separation, and because you fear the separation, inevitably the separation ends up coming. I have no fear of separation because I have no fear of death. I have no fear of divorce. And even if it comes, I know that I'll be okay. My wife could divorce me and take everything I have. I know I'll be okay. And I know that if my wife would take half the things I have, like, she deserves it 100%. I think that when we hold on to things tightly and we feel like we deserve it all, and everything that I have no one else can have, or this other person that's literally been living with me, helping take care of me, XYZ, doesn't get any of it. I think it's the mindset that disrupts the marriage. Anyways, which I can really go into that on a later video. I kind of like specifically want to like stay on looks maxing, because I think it's important that younger men don't get caught up in this notion, and you end up destroying your life before it even gets started. Like, you end up following these ideas that the older you get, the more you're going to like stray away from these limited beliefs realistically. And like, they're limited ideas, and they're new ideas that when you go back through time, men didn't need them in order to get in a dating game, or in order to feel like their most confident self. And I'm always going to go back to the idea of raising your status, raising your value, having some type of more like moral compass, having character, having personality is going to work to your benefit way more than looks maxing. And even if you looks max, eat better. I mean, you should be looks maxing. I genuinely believe you should be looks maxing. But I think like going to the extreme at such a young age is a bad idea, in the sense that you're playing the same game as a woman, and either using chemicals or using some type of like surgical method in order to appear to be better. Like, I think like two or 3 years ago, it was like there was like this controversial videos like going around on the internet of men going and get surgeries done to make themselves taller. And I'm like, it's crazy to see that stuff, because imagine being at such a state in the world where the opinions of women and how they view you matters to you way more than how you view yourself. Imagine waking up every single day, going out in the world, going out to a club, going out to a bar, going out to church, going on a walk, etc., and all you can think about is, do women find me attractive? Or am I tall enough? Am I ambitious enough? Am I enough for these people so that they can be attracted to me? Just imagine living in that state 24/7. And imagine a woman feeling that energy from you. If they're feeling that energy from you, what do you think? How do you think they're going to treat you? How do you think they're going to perceive you? That's something that you should genuinely think about. Is, if I'm playing the same game that a woman is playing, what inevitably do you think, like, at the end of the day, how do you think she's going to end up, like, perceiving you? Do you think she's going to look at you like you're a real man? Most likely not. And in general, I think that young men especially, like, kind of seek out extremes. Like, it's either you party way too much, you work way too much, you study way too much, you're on the internet way too much. There's always an extreme side that you live on. And I think women have the ability to balance a man out. And that's why I think that more men should seek to get married and just not date around, not spin plates, not go from girl to girl to girl to girl. And if you're playing that game, what you really end up doing is making women worse, because women end up not trusting men, because you had the opportunity. You might be a guy with some value and some status, and you had the opportunity to show this girl something different. You had the opportunity to commit to this girl. Instead of committing to her, you dated her for a little bit, got bored, saw the next shining object, and you went after that. And now you're leaving this person with the impression that the guy that I want doesn't want me. And then the cycle restarts, and the cycle keeps going. She goes after another. She dates around, doesn't end up finding anybody that she wants. Next thing you know, a year or two later, she finally finds this guy. And then this guy, was everything that she ever wanted, and then he ends up doing her the same way. And then the cycle repeats. And if I could give any advice to my younger self, it would be to not date, to figure out who you are, to figure out your path and your purpose first. Delay dating for as long as possible. Get some status, get some money, get in community, and then once you're ready to bring someone into your life, that's when you start dating. And at that point, I don't think that you should be dating women that have been involved in a dating game, going out on dates with all these different men, getting passed around, all that kind of stuff. I think you should go after someone who's pure in heart, has good intentions, and that hasn't been hurt by a bunch of men, because that girl is going to take you in a circle. It's going to take you in a loop that you're not going to be able to get out of. So, man, I feel like I talked about a lot. I really want to work on being way more specific and like really staying on just like one topic throughout the video, because I think I'll be able to explain things a lot better. But these are like this is what I actually think about stuff. I'm not listening to someone talk about these ideas, these topics, and then just like repeating what they're saying. Like this is the stuff I actually think about. This is like my genuine life experience. And I'm doing everything I can to get on here and teach you guys everything I know and I've learned, because I've gotten one step, like I'm just one step ahead, right? I'm not an extremist. I haven't done anything extreme outside of probably getting married, but I know that if you're a young man and you don't, like, you've always seen people married, you've seen people get married, but you're kind of on the edge and you don't know if you want to do it yet. You might be dating somebody and you're like, oh, maybe next year, maybe the year after that, XYZ. Like, that's who I'm speaking to. If you're single and you want to be married one day, you want to get in the dating game, but you're still not sure about like how to approach women, like you don't know how to find who likes you, all that stuff, like that's who I want to talk to and that's who I want to speak to, because like this stuff really isn't complicating, and you're most likely overcomplicating it. It's not a hard process, and I think there's implications to make it a little more difficult than it has to be, because there's revenue in it, right? There's a lot of revenue in it. But no, but to a degree it can be a little complicated, but I think it's a lot more simple. I actually think it's a lot more simple than people make it out to be, but I'm also like on the other side of it. But yeah, that's who I'm talking to, right? If marriage, family, just the white picket lifestyle, like you just want to be like a regular person, a normal person, get married, have kids, raise a family. Like, that's who I'm talking to. You are who I'm speaking to. Because this stuff is not complicated whatsoever. It's actually very simple. It's I'm gonna say it's easy, but the burden is light. And you just got to go into it with the right mindset. You have to know the right steps to take and stop following advice that is counterproductive to the purpose. So if you guys are enjoying these videos about like looks maxing, dating, and relationships, marriage, man, leave a like, leave a comment so that I know that this is something that you guys are enjoying. So I can just like keep making these videos. Like, I'll keep popping these out specifically. And I'll even share like my journey with marriage, how me and my wife met, my, all the different, experiences I've had with, relationships and women. Like, I'll tell you guys, I'll go in depth. I'll tell you guys everything. I'm not one of these guys that's gonna tell you I've never had my heart broken. I'm not one of these guys that's gonna tell you I've never struggled with dating. I'm not one of those guys. Like, I've been put through the ringer. I ain't gonna lie to you. I've been through the ringer with it. I've hurt some women. I've had some women hurt me, and like, I'm here to tell you guys about the experience, and I'm here to talk about it all, because I genuinely like birth rates in America are decreasing. People are getting married at later ages. You have women that want to be in relationships that are extremely unhappy. You have men that want to be in relationships that are extremely unhappy. And then another thing you got to think about is like there's just too much of a divide when it comes to like men and women. There's a lot of women out here that genuinely hate men, and then there's a lot of men out here that genuinely hate women. And I want to bridge that divide, because I don't like it. I want to see more people in love. I want to see more people having children and living a blessed life. So, like I said, if you guys are enjoying these videos, just leave a like, leave a comment, do something so I know that you guys are enjoying it. And we'll see you in the next video.